Victorian Era, an overview. The Victorian Era, spanning from 1837 to 1901, marked the reign of Queen Victoria in the United Kingdom. This period was characterized by significant cultural, social, political, and technological changes, profoundly shaping modern Britain. The era is often viewed through a lens of progress and prosperity, yet it also grappled with stark social inequalities and rigid societal norms. The following 8 paragraphs delve into various facets of the Victorian era, presenting a comprehensive overview of this transformative period. Political and social landscape. Politically, the Victorian era witnessed the expansion of the British Empire, making it the most extensive empire in history. This era saw significant reforms, such as the 1832 Reform Act, which began the process of democratizing the British political system by extending the vote to more men and redistributing parliamentary seats. The abolition of slavery in 1833, spearheaded by reformers like William Wilberforce, was another landmark achievement. However, social inequalities persisted, with a stark divide between the wealthy elite and the impoverished working class. The Poor Law Amendment Act of 1834 sought to address poverty, but often resulted in harsh conditions for the poor in workhouses. Industrial Revolution. The Victorian era is synonymous with the Industrial Revolution, a period of unprecedented technological advancement and economic growth. Innovations such as the steam engine, railways, and telegraph transformed industries and communication. Cities expanded rapidly as people moved from rural areas to urban centers in search of work. However, industrialization also brought about significant social challenges, including poor working conditions, child labor, and overcrowded living conditions. Figures like Charles Dickens highlighted these issues in their works, bringing attention to the plight of the working class and prompting calls for reform. Cultural and intellectual flourishing. Culturally, the Victorian era was a time of great literary and intellectual achievement. The period produced some of the most enduring works of English literature, with authors such as Charles Dickens, Charlotte and Emily Bronte, Thomas Hardy, and Oscar Wilde exploring themes of social justice, human rights, and the complexities of the human condition. The era also saw the rise of the novel as a dominant literary form. In the realm of science and intellectual thought, figures like Charles Darwin revolutionized understanding of the natural world with his theory of evolution, challenging established religious and scientific beliefs. Gender roles and family life. Victorian society was characterized by rigid gender roles and a strong emphasis on family life. The ideal Victorian woman was expected to embody virtues of piety, purity, and domesticity, with her primary role being that of a wife and mother. Women's rights were severely limited, with little access to education or professional opportunities. However, the latter part of the century saw the beginnings of the women's suffrage movement, as activists like Emmeline Pankhurst and her daughters fought for equal rights and the right to vote. Despite societal constraints, some women managed to make significant contributions in fields such as literature, social reform, and nursing, exemplified by figures like Florence Nightingale. Technological and scientific advancements. Technological and scientific advancements were hallmarks of the Victorian era, fundamentally altering various aspects of life. The period saw the development of key inventions such as the telephone, light bulb, and automobile, which paved the way for modern conveniences and communication. The Great Exhibition of 1851, held in London's Crystal Palace, showcased these technological marvels and celebrated industrial progress. Scientific discoveries, including Darwin's theory of natural selection and advancements in medicine and public health, reshaped understanding of the human body and disease, leading to improvements in hygiene and medical practices. Empire and colonial expansion. The Victorian era was also marked by aggressive colonial expansion, with the British Empire extending its influence across Africa, Asia, and the Americas. This expansion was driven by a combination of economic interests, strategic considerations, and a sense of cultural superiority, encapsulated in the concept of the white man's burden. While the empire brought economic benefits to Britain, it often resulted in exploitation and oppression of colonized peoples. The era saw significant conflicts, such as the Indian Rebellion of 1857 and the Anglo-Zulu War, which highlighted the tensions and resistance to British rule in the colonies. Social reform and philanthropy. The Victorian era was a time of significant social reform and philanthropic efforts aimed at addressing the challenges brought about by industrialization and urbanization. Reformers such as Lord Shaftesbury and social workers like Octavia Hill worked to improve conditions for the poor, advocating for better housing, education, and labor rights. The era also saw the establishment of various charitable organizations and the rise of the settlement house movement, which aimed to provide social services and education to urban poor communities. These efforts reflected a growing awareness of social issues and a commitment to improving the lives of the less fortunate.